Good morning, beautiful angels. So, how are we all today? We've had a bit of a heat wave here in Ballarat, and it's a bit humid, that's for sure. Not quite used to the humidity. My poor partner John is just like, oh my god, he's melting, kind of like that witch out of what is it? Somewhere Over the Rainbow, whatever you call it. Anyway, showing my age now because that came out when I was a kid, and it was just like, oh my god, it goes from black and white into color. It was pretty cool. So today I'm going to talk to you about local talks. Now, local talks, I'm not necessarily just sticking to one particular area. I'm going to be talking about different areas that you can actually start gaining clients from. And this is one of those things that I started doing at Christmas time about 5 years ago, and it just exploded. And I had so many clients that I just couldn't keep up at the time. And I was in a small country town back then, so I was inundated with requests. But before I go on, I want to talk about the training that we have coming up for 2022. Okay, so let me flip over to my webpage. That one. So in 2022, we are running our training online and hopefully in person, okay? This all this COVID stuff kind of mixes shit up, and it happens. Like it's part of our learning system at the moment, okay? So we have 3 lots of training and one massive event, okay? Just here. Blah blah blah. Just read the web page. So we have 3 lots of training. Now, if you decide you want to do the anxiety and depression protocol that is accredited, if you want to do the whole hog, like if you want to do the other training with us, you can get the gut directed and heal the inner child completely for free for the one price. So we have the Heal the Inner Child accredited certification. That's 1 day of training and it's $49. This will be done online via Zoom on May the 13th. We're hoping to go to New Zealand in September. We're still confirming dates and all that sort of stuff. And in Melbourne on November the 14th. Fingers crossed that we're allowed to run a live event. If we're not allowed to run a live event, we will know closer to the dates. We will shift it to online, but we've got to do what we've got to do in these COVID times, don't we? We also have our gut-directed hypnosis certification that is fully accredited, so it's 2 days of training for $697. You can do it online, hopefully in New Zealand, hopefully in Melbourne, or you can do the anxiety, depression, hypnosis protocol. If you want to do the whole lot, you can do the whole lot for that one price. Now, the anxiety, depression, hypnosis protocol is 4 days of training, so it's pretty full on, but it is even just a couple of days ago, I was talking to one of my students and she was like, I didn't realize you could do that and do this and do that. And she works with autism clients. So, she's doing some really bigger stuff and she's using that protocol to help shift them. So please, by all means, go there. Now, we also offer pay plans at no extra cost. So if you get your pay plan started now, it'll work out easier. So, and we work with you, okay? So if you want to pay it off weekly, monthly, fortnightly, we work with what works with you, okay? So if you want a pay plan, get in early, get that started, and the cheaper we can sort it all out. And we don't charge anything extra to do that. So the Gut Directed is also recognized for 10 CPD points through the AHA. So if you need your points, please by all means jump onto that. You can look up all of the resources, all of the accreditations, absolutely everything. It's also accredited with the IICT, the AHA, the CTAA, and we're working on getting it accredited with the ASCH as well. So please, by all means, jump onto that. But let's flip back over to the video of what you're here to learn here today. So remember, you don't have to do all of these things to attract clients. You're just finding the way that works with you. Okay, so grab a pen and paper. You're going to need that. Or if you're watching the replay, just press pause, grab a pen and paper. So walk around and find 30 places in your local area where you can do a talk. Just go for a walk around your local area. You can find support meeting groups. You can find meetups, natural healing places, gyms and clubs and councils and health stores, and there's heaps and heaps of places. So when I moved to Ballarat, I went into the psychic store, and every single Friday night they do online sales, And I said to them, well, could I be a guest on your online live on Facebook? And they were like, yeah. So I jumped on live with them. Now I'm doing psychic development classes with them. I'm doing workshops. I'm doing all sorts of stuff with them, and it's really, really fun stuff. And that leads into the hypnosis. So it's kind of like a little workshop, and then I talk about hypnosis whilst we're there, and then people start booking in for the bigger stuff because they've got to get to know you first. That's the whole point of building rapport, is them getting to know you. I honestly believe that part of the failure we have in many clients is that we book them in. It doesn't matter whether you do a free consult or not. And then they're not getting those full results because they haven't actually connected with you just yet. And they can connect online, they can connect in person. So they have different dynamics to them. But you can still do a local talk. Approach the local radio station. They're always looking for guest speakers. I'll be talking about that in my next video, but they're always looking for people to do a talk of some sort. So go around and have a talk to places. Hospitals are really big. They're always looking for somebody to do a talk of some sort. Natural healing centers, health places, clubs and gyms. I did a talk down at the gym here, and even though we're in COVID, like, we still do the talk. And I did a talk down here about the mentality of sports performance when it comes to bodybuilding and body sculpting. Now, I'm a big person. I mean, you can see I'm a big person. I don't have the bodybuilder's sculpting body, but all those people that were learning inside of that session took something away from it. And then suddenly I had a monthly client coming to me because he wanted to get into his bodybuilding a lot more. So there are different means and ways. You don't necessarily have to be skinny to be a weight loss expert or anything like that. You need to be able to talk the talk, at least be healthy to walk some of the walk, and for your client to understand that this is also part of your journey. Now, step number 2, it's a bit of a brutal one, okay, guys, but it's got to be said. Get out of your own bullshit. Okay, you really, really need to get out of your own bullshit. Even if it's going live on Facebook, oh, I can't go live on Facebook. You can. You press the button. You just talk. Just go for it. Are you going to be nervous? Absolutely. Are you going to make mistakes? Absolutely. But that's what comes when you're learning something. When you first started to learn to drive a car, you were nervous and you made mistakes, but you took it slow and easy at the start, and you had your instructions or your instructor. So write out some instructions and just go with it. Keep on practicing it. So get out of your own bullshit and become the leader of your own business that you need to be. Put on that leadership hat, okay? So put it on, flick your hair back, and contact these places, because you'll be surprised how many of them will be like, you know what? We've actually got a kids group that we need someone just to have a bit of a talk about, blah, blah, blah. And some of them are actually considering getting other people in, but haven't actually taken that extra step in. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, the universe has aligned, or synchronicity, or something like that. Like, it's amazing how often that happens when you start seeking and finding it. So approach each place about your free talk as a guest. There's no expenses to them, and encourage to book it so that you can do a talk there, even down at local libraries and things like that. Like, they're always looking for people. Women's groups online. Online's huge now. So, whether you're talking at a summit or on a podcast or anything along those lines, you can approach people and actually do a talk. So at the guest talk, you always have a free giveaway. So I used to do the psychic fair in Mount Gambier. I do the psychic fair here in Ballarat as well. And I walked in last year in here in Ballarat. I was completely new to the stomping ground, and oh my gosh, I didn't realize how much I would dominate that area just with the way I look, the way I held my body, and my criteria was set and I was ready to go. So when I did it in Mount Gambier, I actually, it was usually on the weekend. I flew home from New Zealand, so I'd fly home from New Zealand completely exhausted, and then I'd go to the psychic fair and do a talk, and I would just dominate. In the 4th year at the psychic fair in Mount Gambier, one of the speakers actually didn't end up doing a talk, so they asked me to fill in her spot, and it was an earlier space. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll rock up early. So I went down and I did that. we cleared out the whole psychic fair. Like, this is pre-COVID, so we cleared out the whole psychic fair, and all of those stores had nobody looking around at their stuff for like 45 minutes. Then I did my normal talk that afternoon, and I went around the stores. I said, look, I'm going to do another talk. If it goes quiet, now it's a good time to grab some food, go to the toilet, etc. I gave them a heads up, and the same thing happened. So, even when I went to the psychic fair here, and this is during COVID, I still cleaned out the hall, and nobody knew who I was then. So you can do these talks and, have your criteria set up. Was I nervous? Absolutely. I tell you what I used to do. I used to wear a dress that was knee length because my knees would shake so much that I couldn't control them, and then my voice would stutter. So I literally was standing in front of all these people just doing deep breathing, going, you know what, Trish, you've got to relax. Just pretend like they're just your friends and you're just yabbering, okay? So when you do your free talk, have a free giveaway of some sort. I always go down to the psychic shop or one of those jewelry places and buy a gorgeous necklace, because most of my niche is women who are aged between 25 and 45 years old. So I always go down and get a gorgeous necklace, and I'm like, for anybody who attends, please just put down your name and your address, and I'll put you in the draw to win the prize. And then I draw that live on Facebook. I give it away to the person, usually film it, me dropping it off or something like that, all with their permission. And then I take those emails and I put them in my email list. They know that's all part of the criteria. I also pick one topic and I keep to that subject that's based on where I'm talking. So, for example, I wouldn't go into I wouldn't go to a psychic fair and start talking about quit smoking. Like, it's counterintuitive. It's not viable. So I always talk about past life regression, enhancing your intuition. When I go to the gyms, I'll always talk about sculpting your body and healthy mentality. So choose the topic that's relevant to that group and keep it simple. When you're introducing yourself, keep your story small and short, but also keep it light and friendly. Kind of go from victim to victor, but you don't want to get fully involved in it. You don't want to be bawling your eyes out on stage or any of that kind of bullshit. That stuff I really find disgenuine, because I think to myself, how many times can you turn on the tears now? So I find it really disgenuine. So if you're telling about your story, by all means use your tone and stuff like that. But if it's a too deep of a story where you're crying and, blubbering on the stage, then bring yourself back a bit, okay? It's okay to feel a little bit overwhelmed, but we don't want to put you into a place of sadness, because if you're somebody who has healed from your trauma and then that's coming out, it's not really being healed from the trauma, is it? So introduce yourself, keep your story small, short, light and friendly sort of thing. Talk about how you can help your client and use an evidence procedure. So when you're using your evidence procedure, you can always turn around and go, okay, everybody, I want you to scale on a scale of 1 to 10 how you're feeling your anxiety when it's at its peak. Okay, so always use those evidence procedures, and also use statistics and things like that, because we've got to break this mentality down of trust. So they want the statistics, and they want those statistics to be able to look them up quickly on their phone if they want to do that. So they're usually the more difficult clients to get past, those ones that have gone into that analytical phase where everything is about statistics. Okay, so use that evidence procedure. Get people to engage and also give a demonstration. So either as a group or as an individual. If you're doing it as an individual, as in bringing somebody up onto the stage, make sure you have that rapport, okay? Because if you don't have that rapport, then you're going to look a little bit foolish, okay? So I always do it in a group. I love doing it in a group. The reason being is because most of my groups have between 25 to 50 people in those free talks, and I can monitor that amount of people from where I'm standing. So I love doing it in the group. And if anybody doesn't want to join in the group and they just want to watch, they can watch those around them, and then they hypnotize themselves going, oh, wow, this is amazing. So you're either experiencing it or you're witnessing it for yourself. I also usually keep my talks in between 20 to 30 in between 30 and 40 minutes. And that's because in the last probably 20 minutes, I'm walking around having discussions, talking to people, booking people in for free consults, they're doing their free giveaway, etc., etc. So I always allow at least 20 odd minutes to really stop and talk to people, to connect with them. I even have been to those speeches myself where the person has come in, done their talk, and then just fucked off. And it's like, oh, hang on, this is not this is breaking down the rapport. I've even been to conferences where speakers have done that, and it's like, well, you're gonna stop and, like, perhaps connect with me because I'm feeling something. So yeah, always connect with people, take that time out, sort of thing. Don't book anything straight in after your talk because you might go over a little bit. You don't want to go, oh, look, I've got to go, I've got an appointment, rush off, blah, blah, blah. Okay, thanks, Michelle. So when you don't, honestly, darling, Michelle, when you don't know where to start talking, just start talking about yourself. Okay, so start talking about yourself, give yourself, a little bit of a story, and then ask people, how do they relate to that? Ask them to talk about themselves. That's one of the keys when it comes to communication, because you'll know those people that are bursting with a question. They'll be looking at you, they've got something, and I can turn around and go, so, hey, what's your name? And they'll go, Michelle. And I'm like, hi, Michelle. I said, have you ever had an experience with anxiety like my story or something similar? And then they start talking, and then that encourages other people to start talking. So yeah, just tell a small story about yourself and have your criteria set out. Stick around and talk to people afterwards, okay? Encourage them to book in for a free consult whilst they're there. And if they don't book that free consult whilst they're there, because literally I have people lining up and some people are like, I don't want to wait. Well, I actually give them my card and I say to them, look, if you want to run back to the psychic show, go for it, here's my card, book in later on. So it's a really, really great way to connect with those people. And that's what's great about markets and fairs and, all that sort of stuff. And we can do that in a COVID safe way nowadays. Okay. So that's number 3, I think it was, of 44 easy ways to attract clients. So please, by all means, put something together, something small. You don't need a lot of criteria. You really don't. Keep it simple, keep it easy, and you'll just improve each time. I've done talks where my first one was fucking amazing, and then I've done my second one and I'm just like, man, I feel like I'm just dribbling shit here. So, just keep doing it, have some fun with it, and do what is naturally flowing for you. You're going to get those questions where you'll be like, just say to the client, I was like, I don't have a fluent answer right now. Is it okay if I take your email address and I'll get back to you? And it's easy peasy. So go and do a local talk somewhere and start building that rapport inside of that community. All right, my lovelies, I will catch you in the future and I'll see you on the flip side. Bye-bye.